Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I am so happy to be back after taking one weekend off. That was quite a weekend, by the way. Everything went well. Got together with the family and such, and had a great time. We had not as many people as I imagined we would have had. We've had up to like 35 people come over for Easter or Thanksgiving or any other big holiday, Christmas dinners at my friend's house. Basically, it's not really a friend, I call it family, Nathan's cousins. So, anyway, it's a beautiful day today, 66 degrees. Unfortunately, my friend's wife passed away this past Sunday. And so we're planning on that. I got to do a slideshow for him. The guy is an ex-Marine, retired warrant officer, in the Marine Corps, and he's blind, and so yeah, he's not going to be able to enjoy whatever I create, but we'll see. I'll try to do my best. Anyway, wife is not feeling well today, stomach problems, so I gave her some gas six and some what's the other one um, for the stomach, and some Pepsi that really helps make her feel a little better. She's not having any lunch. Our son is coming over around 3:30 ish, so I want to make sure that I don't go past that 3 o'clock because I'm going to be making dinner that I hope my wife can enjoy. Nathan was going to come over, but he and his dad apparently are going out shopping for something. So maybe he can, I don't know. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. Yesterday was his first soccer game of the season, and it was a 3-3 tie, which is not bad. Usually they lose, so better than losing, I suppose. And they actually played a lot better than I remember from last year. They're making big improvements, and that's really good. So I'm going to show you what I got. Let me just go through the subjects that I hope to cover today. My Pro One, knock on wood, has been working. So I decided why not bring it back to life and begin to use it again. Problem is, you need to use these chips that Precision Color sells, and they're like $4 each, and then you got to refill. And I only have so much ink, and I don't want to be begging for ink from them. Michael Lee used to send me whatever I asked them for. Um, but again, this is a different person, and I don't want to be, that type of, hey, send me some free inks. No, no, no. So I looked on eBay for compatible cartridges, and I've shown you these before. They're a little bit weird. They look the same, but they're not really the same. And this is an open one. And basically what is missing is, I don't know if you can see that, is the little light pipe. Basically, it's an optical rod that transmits the red light from the chip. Chips have little lights built into them, by the way. And it transmits that to the front of the cartridge so you can see it, lit up. And it doesn't have that. So, when you pop them in, there is no light on the front of the cartridge. So you have to kind of look over the top of the cartridge, and in the back you can see. And also, another weird aspect of it is that they are not fully like full volume. Full volume is about 39 ml. And so a full cartridge weighs like 84, 85 grams, and an empty one weighs like, again, 43, 44 grams, something like that. So, do the math. These only weigh about 70 grams. So that's quite a difference. So I decided to add some of my ink to the yellow one. The yellow one's one I was experimenting with, and also the Chrome Optimizer. And the opening is a little bit different than the OEM one, so I had a little bit of a problem, and I hope that the ink actually got into the bag itself and not the internal compartment. You can see that this is Mylar, and the bag is inside, and that room gets pressurized through a port and applies pressure against that bag. Well, you don't want to get ink inside the room. You want to get ink inside the bag. Okay. You can do that very easily if you're not careful, because this entrance here, this port, acts as a, um, of course, entry for the spindle on the ink slot of the Pro One enters that, but that also acts as a way to vent. So as you are, you know, emptying up the bag, that pressurization goes. Anyway, you need to be careful, because you could, if you don't press down hard enough, my voice is going. If you don't press down hard enough to seal against that port, you're going to get ink inside the compartment instead of in the bag there. And you don't know that's happening. It's a totally blind process, so you have to be careful. Anyway, um, I might just try it. I don't think I still have any of that ink actually flowing through my print head, but I'm going to go ahead and do a print and see what we get. I may actually, in a while, I will go ahead and maybe create a profile. By the way, the full 12 cartridge ink set was $49 and free shipping. So pretty reasonable for compatible. We'll see how good the inks are. They can't be anything any worse than what we were currently getting from other resellers here in the country. Obviously, they're not going to be as good as Precision Colors, period, because those were blended. So we'll look into that and see what we get. I may continue using that printer, because why not? I still have other inks that I can use for that. They're the same formulation, so I can, go ahead and refill those cartridges. Except the problem is the chips. So there's no way to reset them, and it is not recommended that you disable the chips, even though you can. I have heard that it'll just go into these eternal cleaning cycles, and I really don't want to do that, because that that printer, unfortunately, has a set of internal pads, and when they go full, it's going to the dump. That's it. No one else is going to be able to fix it for me. Okay, Nathan just had his eighth grade uh, in cap and gown graduation pictures taken. I will show you those, and it's pretty neat. What happens now is that these companies go to the school, they shoot the digital pictures, and the parents pay money to download those digital pictures. I don't know whether, I think you could have ordered photos, but expensive. So although the download itself was expensive, uh, they went ahead and did that, and they sent me the link, and I downloaded them to my computer, and I will show you what my little boy now looks like. It's no more little boy. Okay. Why should you refill printers? Some people say, oh, it's the death of your printer. Don't ever consider doing that. You bad person. You should only use OEM inks. I'll tell you why you actually should refill. And that only applies to certain families of printers. I'm going to scan some Print Prism stuff. Version 141 came out this past week. 140 came out, and then shortly after that, 141 came out. And Mike Cheney sort of almost, he wasn't apologetic, but he told me, don't worry, nothing really drastic changed. Because I put out a video about that and simply went through the steps of what this one provides you as far as possible extra features, but it's not something that's going to force you to rescan any previous charts that you created and create new profiles from those. Now, it's not going to be that big of a difference, but there's a slight difference. It's getting to the point where it's going to be, is reaching a level where no more improvements as far as the quality, accuracy, gamut volume of that profile will be. It's that's it. I think he's going to be adding maybe a few features here and there, but as far as I'm concerned, I think that's going to be it. We're going to be doing some prints. Um, my friend from Hagerstown, Maryland, sent me a couple of images. Also, I have one of a bear that we have to print. And did we do that? I don't think we did. So we'll do that today, as well as a couple of other shots that he sent me. And I might use that canvas paper. I have one last sheet of it right here. Right here. And it is called paper canvas. So I am going to order some of that from Red River. And I did this of my little Parisian night in the rain AI photograph that I created. And it looks fantastic. Like this would be perfect on real cloth canvas, and I could make a mini stretcher in my shop and mount it. But it looks really amazing. That the texture really, it's a better texture than the linen Strathmore paper, the acrylic linen paper. This actually looks like real canvas, real cloth canvas. So I got one last sheet here. The problem is they decided to put the ID on the surface. Why would you do that? Put it in the back, okay? That way I can use the whole sheet. Wow. I can't believe they did not do that. And it's, anyway, I'm sure they have an excuse for that, but to me, it makes no sense. Okay, we're going to talk about when do you know, like your Canon printer will need a new printhead. Okay, there are some specific things that you will begin to notice. Okay. And if I get to this point, I hope we can. But if not, it'll be next week. I'm going to recommend you two printers. That's it. For whatever the reason, whatever you need it for, unless you're going to go gigantic, I'm going to recommend you two printers and only two printers. And if I had, you know, a lot less room than I have back in my other room, those are the two printers that I would get. I already own them. Okay. But there's also updates to those printers, I hope. So we'll talk about that. Let's go ahead and jump to the chat and see who we presently have on board. You guys can see the chat right on as you're watching this because I cannot see it. Of course, I only see it on the side of my monitor, but I'm sure you guys can see the chat, right? So whenever I watch, I do it mostly on my TV, uh, videos from YouTube, other users, and it happens to be a live stream or something, and I'm watching it later, or possibly, as it is actually being broadcasted. I have to manually choose to see the chat. So can you guys see the chat? I assume you can. Otherwise, you wouldn't be, boy, you wouldn't be able to keep track. Let me see. Who is the first one today? Hmm. It looks like Richard Bender at 1:52 this morning, and you did not get kicked out. That's amazing. Hagerstown, Maryland, 8550, Kimmich Ultimate Print Prism, Nikon D300 DJI Drone Air 2S, various papers, HDR photography. Did you see the camera that the astronauts are using? What is it, a D5? And they were talking about, because cosmic radiation, it actually killed some of the pixels on the sensor. I didn't think that was possible, but and some of the images that they shot, they said those little bright spots that you see or dark spots that you see are not UFOs, they're dead pixels. And I thought, what? Wow. Anyway, neat. What a camera that must be. Huh? I can only dream. HZ7984 from the Netherlands says the Netherlands is beautiful, still super, somewhat cold spring weather. Daylight a tad too harsh for my photography. Oh, yeah, yeah. EcoTank 8550, Print Prism 141, Pentax D SLRs, two 4x5 cameras, Imacon 646 scanner. Our friend just came back from the Netherlands, by the way. They went there. I don't know whether it was for pleasure or they have I think one of their kids is there for some reason. But anyway, and she absolutely loved it. Of course, I remember it very dearly as well when I lived in Belgium. I had to pick up my car that I shipped from Baltimore, and I forget now what the port was. Um, in the Netherlands, I went to get my car and then drove across and into Belgium and then to where I was living. And that was a fun ride. I actually rode up there with someone who was uh, taking their car to the port to ship it back to the U.S. And then I picked up my car and then we drove back. And that person, he was a colonel. That person then left about a week and a half later. Um, I was so grateful to be like in this geographical center of Western Europe. You can just get in your car and go anywhere. In a matter of hours, you're there. Nigel Waters, Wales, UK, Canon Pro with all the trimmings, and he was on at 6:16 this morning. The Netherlands person was on at 4:07 this morning. Wow. TPD605, Ron K, Trenton, New Jersey. Epson Ecotech 8550, Kimmich Ultimate Lifetime, Canon R5 Mark II, and a Canon 7D Mark I. Let me scroll down. Feslope, this is Fred Elias, Warren, Michigan. Cool and wet here today. Ecotech 8550, Print Prism Current, Red River Papers, all OEM, hobbyists, enjoy metallic papers. Yes. And we're going to I'm going to try one of those images on the metallic paper that you sent. MPM Photo, Nick Marmolejo from Deer Valley, Arizona. Epson Stylus 8550, Stylus 3800, what am I talking about? Piezography Pro inks in Epson XP 15000 chipless PCSE inks, Qimage Ultimate, ON1 Photo Raw Max, Sony Alpha 6000. I just looked up the video that I uploaded about refilling the 15,000 cartridges, and I realized as I was watching myself doing that, and that was how many years have I had that printer? Um, wow, it's the easiest cartridge you can refill. Absolutely. Almost zero effort required. Just need a scale and make sure that you render your printer chipless. Otherwise, you just can't do it. And thank goodness for chipless firmware for that. Captain Donzi is here. Warm and sunny Richmond, Pro 100 with all the trimmings, Sony Alpha 77, Alpha 65, and Alpha 360. Steve Excel, London, UK. Epson P800 refillable cartridges, OEM inks, in Studio I1 Studio spectrophotometer, QImage, Photoshop, Nikon Z72, Epson V500, my baby right here as well. Henry Stoffel from Cool Medford, Massachusetts, Epson P800, OEM inks, Print Prism update, 141, of course, QImage Ultimate, 112 lifetime. So you got it really. If you are going to even consider getting Print Prism, I highly recommend. I hope that you already own QImage, because that is the simplest, easiest, most trouble-free way of printing those charts. I'm going to go through that process again in case anyone has not seen it being done, and we'll go through the process of how to print one of those charts. We'll do that on the Pro 100, and then maybe an hour or so later, I can then scan it. You should let it dry for longer than that, but we're gonna go ahead and be a little, let's just say, impatient. Okay. Diana Hadley. Is this your first time? Thank you. Thank you for coming. La Crosse, Wisconsin. Look at that. Um, That's my wife. I was actually very close to La Crosse when I was spending the summer with the National Guard there as a support unit. Canon Pro 1100, Ecotech 8550, QMH Prism, PCSC. Another week of overcast and rain trying to impede my local hiking and photography. Oh no. Well, I'm sure you will get it. Whoops. This is Harold Davis. Oh, come on. I logged into the wrong account. You had me fooled there. So this is your sister's account, right? Oh, okay. For a minute there, I thought, oh, another person from La Crosse, Wisconsin. But anyway, do you know where Toma is, Wisconsin? That's where I was. That's where Camp McCoy, now Fort McCoy was, or still is, I think. And here is Kevin Berniarski, Ellsworth, Wisconsin, Canon Pro 300, Epson XP 15,000, and an 8550. Very good. Very good choices. I use a computer and I can see the chat. Not sure about other devices. Okay, great. I was wondering about that. Fred Bird, work in the area of commercial, legal, and aerial old photographic restoration, used as a Nikon camera and Epson P700 and OEM inks. Captain Thompson says, yes, need more likes. Folks, you need to like this live stream. Click that button. If you are not able to find it, wait until afterwards and then look at it, say on your phone or whatever, and just click the like. When you do that, also leave a comment, please. I've been asking people to leave comments, whether you have anything to say or not, just leave a little comment. The algorithm sees that. Okay, when you leave the comment, also hype it, hype the actual video. There's a new option for that. I don't know what it does, but hype it all you want. If I solved an issue that you may have had, and I hope that's the case, please give me that hype. There's also, now they have donation that you can actually donate directly to a single video. Wow, that has never happened before. And I think this month I'm going to actually receive a initial payment. I made it past $100. So that's going to come in, and I'm going to immediately use that money to buy some paper, um, and set up some demonstration. This is what this is all about. Um, Need to generate funds and buy the papers. I'll use it not for me or for me to sell. I'll use it for me to demonstrate to you guys, and then you guys can go ahead before you spend the money. See what I was able to, create or produce. Is it good? Is it so? Is it eh? Then I'll save you some bucks that way. You don't have to buy that. I have plenty of different printers with different types of ink formulations. Sometimes some papers are good. I have this paper right here, and I have no clue where I got this from. It is actually pretty good. It's called Riverstone Satin Rag. It is dual coated. The reason I think it got, again, this discontinued was because when they coated the backside, you can see a very, very, very light roller mark. That's no good. Okay, how are you going to print double sided if you got a roller mark? Well, you really don't see it once you print on it, but they just could not sell it anymore. So this was pretty cheap, but it's really, really good. It's really, really good. So we will do that. I will make a profile for that, and I don't know what printer we're going to use. Any printer. The the inks themselves for say the 8550, it's sort of, if you pick a current, say, semi-gloss, because there is a semi-gloss finish on it. If you pick semi-gloss and you just say use the Epson semi-gloss profile, it lays down too much ink. You get areas that are actually slightly wet. So you need to make your own custom profile. Sure, use that paper choice, but print the chart and then scan it, and that will make a profile that should solve that. And if it's still a little bit too much ink being laid down, then you can go into the actual manual settings of the driver and turn down the density a little bit. Not so much that you begin to see a difference in the output, but turn down that density a tiny bit, check again, and eventually say something pure black will not look wet anymore. That's the point where you stop. And it should not affect the rest of the image. Okay. You can adjust densities that way. That's a little trick that you can do using the manual, and it's usually found in the advanced settings, okay, of a driver. Can a person transfer Q image to another computer, or do you have to buy the program again? I think as long as it's your computer, it's okay. But don't quote me on that. If Mike Cheney happens to be here, he can tell you. I think it's okay as long as it's your computer and not your brother's computer, in some other, location. No. Yeah, no, this is an actual fort. Um, I think that's the little town near it. Yeah, not a VA clinic or place. It's an actual fort. It's called Fort McCoy. And usually, if I recall, it was mostly artillery. TPD says, I don't know if there's a way to do it. However, during the live stream, I cannot comment on the video. Yeah, once it's over, you cannot. That's it. You have to do it here while it's live. Only any live stream, the chat is only available for you to comment on when it is live. Once we go off the air and it's the video that is recorded at their server then becomes an available video. It has to process it into like an MP4 or something like that, and then it goes onto the regular folder, if you will, and you can watch it later, but you can no longer comment. Yes, yes, I did, and I appreciate that. Thank you. It's it's on the that link. Let me post it one more time. That link that contains all my other links. We will walk through that so that there aren't any issues. So you're going to have to copy this, look at it and copy it, not copy like copy and save, or you cannot link on it, you cannot click on it, in other words. So https colon slash slash jtoolman, that's my old name, dot net leafy or lifey dot app slash, and that will take you directly to this, and I will post it so you can see what you are to expect. It'll take you to this, and here are all the links. Each one of these little links right here will take you directly to whatever the description says. So QImage Ultimate for Windows. Well, QImage Ultimate for Windows, for instance, go there and boom, you can buy QImage Ultimate, and you will get the discount immediately because this is my affiliate link. Okay, and so on and so on and so on. So each one of those. Now at the bottom, let me get out of here. At the bottom, I believe I have my PayPal right here. Donate with PayPal. Okay, now I'm not logged on, of course. I cannot donate to myself, but there it is. And of course, all the Amazon affiliate page. So if you want to shop through Amazon, you just click on this and then click on this. Don't worry about this. You go like, wait a minute, what am I looking at? Don't worry about it. You can actually search or click here. I already have suggestions of things that you can buy, and it covers several subjects, including drones, including printing, including cameras, including just about anything related to what we do. Okay, so you don't have to do that. Just go to the search bar, and that's it. That's all you got to do. You will go here and search. By using that link, however, it immediately takes you so that Amazon knows you're using my link. In other words, so anything you order through Amazon, whatever you need that you would normally buy by going to Amazon.com, in this case, you're going through my link instead. It takes you exactly to where Amazon.com is anyway, and you just search, type in whatever, purchase it, and I get a slight cut. It's not a lot, but it all adds up. Patreon, again, right here. Rick Johnson's eBay page. Okay. So it's a very convenient way to access all of the links, the people that I support, basically. Inkchip.net, that is for your chipless firmware and to be able to reset internal waste ink pads on some printers, quite a lot of them actually, and just about anything. Red River right here. If you need the little 3D printed holders for cartridges, it is right here. Also a vacuum filling system for your CLI variety type cartridges, sponge type cartridges. You don't have to modify them at all. I consider this an advanced method of doing this. It works. I just find just basically using a converted set of cartridges from Rick Johnson a little bit easier. You just pull the plug and refill and put the plug back on it. Done. So lots of different items here. Print Prism. There you go. You see what I mean? So it is a direct link to all of the companies that I support or I have an affiliation with. Okay. So no need to save a bunch of different, URLs. Just save mine. Click on it. Boom. You can save it so that you have it as a tab. For instance, I do, and I go in and I check to see what's happening every once in a while. Check, Rick Johnson's eBay page and so on. So that's how you do it, and I do appreciate it when you support me that way. It surely helps because it took me since this fiasco occurred and I remember this as a day in infamy, like who was it, Roosevelt after Pearl Harbor, when I got destroyed. In other words, down to nothing YouTube wise, the 8th of August. So right now is the 12th of April, and I just started earning pennies a day, and then like $1.50 a day. So it's growing. It takes a while. I'm not one of those million views every day type channels. No, those channels don't teach you anything. They really don't. So let's go back to our folks here. Make sure that I didn't miss anyone. Okay, here we go. A relative was an Army Ranger working alone as a forward air observer in Vietnam. He's repeatedly getting gangrene from his exposure to Agent Orange. Agent Orange was terrible. It's a defoliant, right? So they were like stripping jungles down, making photographs in the jungle. Yeah. Well, thank you for your service, sir. And I hope you continue. If you need any treatments, I'm sure they'll uh, take care of you. I hope. NPM photo, Jose, using your suggested media settings to use QMH print on clog on glossy paper, no printer profile. Yeah, no printer profile. The reason being is you're going to print basically raw. You choose off on the QMH Ultimate main page, and that sort of forces the, in other words, magenta, yellow, cyan, black, blue, orange, and green. If that's what your printer has, those are the colors that are available when you create an unclogged image. In other words, to print. Um, it sort of forces the driver to use the actual channels and doesn't try to composite to come up with a perfect green or a perfect yellow. No, it's using yellow ink, green ink, orange ink, red ink, blue ink, cyan, magenta, black, and so on. And so that's is a more effective way to without running a cleaning cycle, which is wasteful. You're actually printing with those actual colors, at least as much as the printer can. Okay, when you print raw, that's what's happening. And print glossy and high quality, the highest quality. QImage will choose that by default anyway. But glossy paper, highest quality, and then print those charts that you create, the images that you create. We'll go through that if I jump into QImage a little bit later. I'll show you how to do that. And so then you can just schedule it. You can go on a cruise for 2 weeks and then come back. And if you told your printer every 2 days at noon to print one of those charts, you leave QImage open. Hopefully you will not have a power outage. That's the only hassle, that there is no way to have some kind of little app just sitting around your computer actively while everything else is closed. I know your computer has to be on, has to be left on. So it will do on Monday, on Tuesday, on Wednesday, on Friday, on Sunday, on Tuesday, yeah, every 2 days while you're gone. It'll print one of those charts, and it'll waste very little ink actually. and it'll keep the printer activated because it thinks you just printed an image. And that's really what you really need to do is print an image, a standard image, something with a complete range of colors. Um, and when you come home, you'll be greeted by however many sheets of copy paper with that set of lines that you created uh, printed on it. And that's it. When you don't even have to do anything. You just start printing, and you'll be fine. Better than leaving the printer off. Now, some printers are more forgivable. The art the yeah the P200, what is it, the Canon uh, P200, yeah, Pro 200, I'm sorry, the Pro 100, they're very forgivable. They really, no problem. The XP 15,000, oh my god, my wife hardly ever uses her printer, and it's fine. It begins to print, it doesn't run a cleaning cycle. The 200 that Rick Johnson gave me, I run and also check, that's it. Boom, done. I did them all last night. Everything came out perfect. Yeah, that's all you really have to do. If you say, "Well, I don't have anything to print," well, if you know, with all the AI programs now, you have stuff to print. Create stuff just for fun and print it. But it's not necessary to print daily. The Pro 1000, yeah, you have to print a little bit more often than once a week, but not necessarily daily. Every day and a half, every 2 days, just print one of those little charts. It will hardly use any ink. It will not run a pre-print cleaning cycle if you do it that often, and it'll keep it happy. Your printer will outlast. Gosh, my Pro 100 was 14 plus years, and the internal pass didn't even get full. Yeah. Well, I appreciate that from you, though. Yeah, thank you so much. The only problem is I don't think there's a way for me to thank you through PayPal, and sometimes the account that goes under doesn't really match names that I recognize here. So, but be assured that it does not go unappreciated. Okay, it does certainly does not. Yes, please hit that like button. You have no idea how important that is. Why does my name show up? Yeah, again, I don't know. I really don't know. At TPD605. What is that? Do you consciously use that somewhere, Ron? Because I don't understand that. It used to show up properly. Yeah, this just happened. No, no, this didn't happen because my channel went down. This is a different entity. This is StreamYard. This is streaming software. It has nothing to do with my channel going down. I could actually just make recordings here, and they appear like a live stream, but it's really no, I'm just recording into their server, and then I can then download that recording and use it for whatever I wish. It's not nothing to do with YouTube. It's they did this. Look at this. Instead of Kevin and then Bruniarski, in what is this, 6567? You see what I mean? And again, like here, as I am looking at this now here in the StreamYard, that's not YouTube. So if I look at this in YouTube, let's open that. Let's see what the heck that looks like. I have never looked at myself through YouTube, but I'm definitely not going to. Let me see. Okay, there I am. I'm on delay, on a delay of about 10 seconds. That's me on YouTube, right? See? So yeah, and that what that does is when I'm doing a like a one-on-one call, like call it a call, but with a video here using StreamYard, I'll send somebody a link that they can then use to log on to StreamYard and join me, and I can sit, face to face with them, and we'll talk about issues and we'll try to demonstrate things, you know, person to person. I'm not broadcasting anywhere. I'm just doing this between the two of us. However, that's being recorded by the server. And so if sometimes what happens is I'll say something just like the astronauts in the spacecraft. There was a delay between a question from Earth and they're finally then hearing it, and they had to switch the mic on and off as they were doing that. So that's what happens here. I get a delay from the person that's talking with me. It's not as much as the astronauts were experiencing, but there is a delay. Okay, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, to tell you the truth. Okay, so let me show you what these cartridges look like. I just picked up two random ones. So this one here is OEM and it's nearly empty. It's a red one. See the top? This is OEM. So this is covered. There is a little pipe, an optical fiber little pipe that runs from the chip here all the way to the front. That little window right there, that's the light you see. Okay. When you pop it in, you will see that light. It'll be white. The same thing on the Pro 100, on the Pro 200. Now, this is the so-called compatible card. That's gone. And I don't even know why they even have that there, that open space. Why not just cover it up? If you're not going to include the piping, the optical pipe, why don't you just cover it up? But they don't. So, and here would be the little window. They put it there anyway. It's like, why? Why are you bothering to do that? But and they come with less ink. And so far it seems to be working okay. Here is an empty one, and I took the chip off, and I want you to look. You see that little round depression right there? That is not supposed to be there. I created that. The normal space for the chip is just a little slot, and the original OEM chip sits nice and flat. There are two little posts right here that you need to retain. You shave one off, and that allows you to lift it and slide it. It's really unique, a really unique way to attach a chip. But the Chinese chips that you buy, the single-use ones, they have a little globule of black resin that protects the rear of the chip because there are some tiny little electronic components there. So that just covers that area. but that causes it not to fit. So it does not fit flat. So I had to use a round end mill on my milling machine, put this on a jig. I had it all aligned and press down, and it'll mill away that little circular cavity, if you will. And now that chip can fit flat. That's what I had to do to sets of 12s at one time, and I was selling those already modified for refilling. All you needed to buy was the chips and, of course, ink from whomever you want to buy from, and then you'll be able to use a Pro One that way. However, the Pro One now is discontinued anyway, so who cares, right? I'm just happy that I still have a working Pro One, knock on wood. I keep saying that because it could just happen anytime and it'll stop working. That printer had 3 gray inks among the regular set of colors. It did not have a blue ink like the Pro 1000, but it did have red. And so it produced gorgeous prints. The first time I used it, I was blown away. Nothing I had compared to the output of the Pro One. The issue was they had some design problems. It was the first time that Canon decided to make a cartridge with a bag inside. And whenever you have a bag, you need pressurization. And they are not really experts at that. Okay, I'll be blunt. They are not. So most, if not all of their non-sponge type cartridges, printers that use those cartridges, basically use a gravity feed method to provide ink to the print head. And of course, ink lines, Pro One, Pro 1000, Pro 1000 had internal compartments. Pro One, I don't know whether they did or not, or they do or not. But the Pro 1000, I mean, groundbreaking technology. So that really opened up a whole new avenue for us. At that point, we would be then semi-professionals to professional printers. We would be using something like the Pro 1000 and now the 1100. And of course, for larger size that you would use the 24-inch, the 44-inch, and the 64-inch capacity. I don't know why it has to be four, and then 44, and then 64. Don't ask me why. But yeah, let me show you. So those are working out. They're working out okay. But I am going to show you guys. And now I gotta find them. Close that. I had them here last night. Now I cannot find them. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So this is what you get. This is really, really interesting. You download this once Brian, Nathan's father, paid for everything. Yeah. Then he received the link. I need to add my screen to it. And download this. So I never really looked at what the PDF said. Now I'm going to have to look. I'm going to have to see what the heck they're trying to tell me. And not much. I certify that I am the photographer for the photo included this purchase. I am providing the digital images included in the pack. Okay. It's just, and this is Freed Photography is the name of the company. Okay. And here is the boy. So this is his class. I believe this is his class. Let me see. We'll go through the whole shebang here. And let me see. I think, is that him? What a goofy looking dude. Oh no, here he is right here. That's someone else. They all kind of look alike. All of these are his friends. Most of these kids started up through kindergarten and preschool with him. So here's Nathan. Notice he's got glasses on now. So he decided to begin to use those blue light blocking glasses, and he loves it. I think he's enjoying the look as well. He's not a great smiler. All of the pictures that I have of him since he was a little boy, he, you know, he used to love posing for the camera. And this is the other half of the class. Or maybe it is. Maybe this is a goofy. Oh, okay, I get it. So one was a goofy section, and then one was a serious one. And this kid just doesn't know how to be. There he is. See what I mean? So I have not yet from the parents yet heard from the parents what would they like me to do. I'll wait for their instructions. And like I cannot print these. Yeah. Um, I gave them one print so far, and but now that I know that there's a goofy class picture and then a serious class picture, I never really took a close look at those. I made a composite of all of the images in one sheet, and I thought it was the other hand because I thought it was a bigger class than that. So now I know one is a goofy picture, class picture, and then one is a serious one. So maybe we will just print one of those today just for fun. Um, so that is that. Let me go ahead and delete that. Okay, now, why should you refill? And this breaks all the rules. This is what you are told never, never to do. Okay. Yeah, his grandfather. Now, which one are you talking about? The serious Irish grandfather or this goofy one right here? Who could it be? Ooh. You know, it's me. I took care of that boy since maybe, how old was he? Maybe a month and a half old. Mommy went back to work, and dad used to drive 20 miles one way, 20 miles back home. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and possibly even go there on a weekend. And I taught him about trains, about trucks, about cranes, about construction, about all kinds of things that he became an absolute animal for since he was little. And yeah, let me just say this, it was actually a bit embarrassing. And I realized what had happened at that very instant. He just, and this is for you, Harold, he just did his eighth grade ballroom dancing competition. Okay. After they did all of the different categories and they were basically done, the judging was revealed, the ribbons were passed out. They asked all the kids, they made all the kids go into the middle of the big ballroom. Basically, it's like parish council room there, pretty big, and they told each kid to grab a family member, and then we're going to be doing a dance where everybody just walks around and dances around, goofs around. He went and got me. His mom and dad were behind me. Grandma was next to me. The other also behind. He went and grabbed me. Enough said. Okay. I felt, oh, jeez. I felt a little weird, but What can you do? And that's it. That's he says he will never forget me. He told me that. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, you bet. This one, this grandpa. Anyway, enough about that. Will you? Why you should refill printers? Here's a catch with internal waste ink pads. It should be very obvious. If you do not, and let's just pick our favorite, Pro 100, Pro 10, Pro 200, or any other Epson printers. I just got rid of my 1400, so that was one of them. That was a good. The no, wait a minute, the XP 15,000. No, no internal waste ink pads. They have a cartridge you can exchange. So what happens is this: you're dealing, say, with the 800. I mean the 100, 8 cartridges, 8 colors. You load all 8, just like I did recently with behind this, right over here. Put 8 cartridges in it. They're all full. The chips say they are full. Let's see where we are. Let me open one up. And if I decided not to refill, and I would say buy, I don't know, let's just say every time or as soon as one cartridge just begins to get low, I go ahead and purchase either that cartridge or a full set, just simply to have it, just to have it nearby. This is my ink levels right now. So they're all indicating full. This is the Pro 100 I just set up a couple weeks ago. So what will happen is that as you print, and let's just say that I print nothing but standard images. Why would I ever do that, right? But let's just, as in this example, I would print nothing but a standard image. The standard image, you have seen me showing you the standard image, and you see that beautiful even histogram from black, mid-tones, highlights, and pure white. Very evenly distributed. Also, the colors are very evenly distributed. I will very likely use my colors pretty evenly, but your images are not that way. They do not have almost a perfect distribution of colors. They will be more toward the reds and oranges and yellows if that's all you ever print. If you do nothing but sunsets with big orange skies, you'll be using orange and magenta a lot. Those two colors will be used quicker. When you first start your printer, set it up and you're printing regular stuff, you will see the colors sort of gradually go down. And then you get scared, they're low, and you replace it. $139 for a set of CLI 42s. Yeah. So you replace the whole set. Okay, now you have full. But most people don't do that. They replace only the ones that are empty. With the Pro 100, just let it go empty. The sponge will still have ink in it. It's just that the chip says, hey, I'm empty, but I declare myself empty before the sponge became bone dry, which would cause that particular color channel to burn out because ink acts as a coolant. So as you are printing, you're generating heat because each droplet has to be literally boiled, and the ink that's passing through it keeps it from getting too hot to cause damage. So it's like your engines in your car, your you know what I mean, keeps the temperature at a certain level, your thermostat. So the coolant that cools your engine as it's circulating, it maintains it at a certain level. It doesn't get hot, it just gets at a certain operating temperature. Well, so does your print head. The ink is flowing through it constantly as you're printing. Yeah, it'll get hot to a certain point, but that's it. It'll just stay at that level, and it's not enough to damage it. Okay, there's no damage. It's not a dangerous temperature condition until you run out of ink or you get a clog for whatever the reason. And now you're printing, and that nozzle is not passing ink; it's producing heat. It's trying to explode, 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 and no ink to cool it down, so it gets damaged. That nozzle just dies. And in some higher end Canon printers, it's replaced by a redundant nozzle. But I don't think that 100 has that. So you will eventually, you know, damage that yellow channel, for instance. So that one goes empty, and you didn't notice that maybe the magenta was getting low. It's not empty, so you're not going to change that one. So you change the yellow one, toss that one in the trash, put a new yellow cartridge. Now that one is full, but all the other levels they were not full. They're at different levels. That magenta that was almost low, when you close the lid, I've said this a million times, hasn't changed. The results are the same. A purge cycle is triggered. Why? Because the printer was in the middle of that trajectory, left and right, floating over space. You removed a cartridge. Oh my God, what does that do? Is the straw filled with water and you have the top sealed? You just remove that finger. All the water, in this case ink, has has built up on the nozzle plate. It's not inside anymore. It's actually underneath. That will be wiped up later as it goes back to the purge pad. There is a wiper blade system in all printers that wipes the nozzle plate clean. So now you have air in that yellow channel or the magenta channel in this case. It has to purge it. So to purge, it doesn't just purge the magenta one, it purges all eight. And you're wasting ink. Not only are you lowering all the levels equally a certain amount, but all that ink is going into the internal waste ink pads. So eventually, within a couple of years, your ink pads are going to be declared full. That's it. Throw the printer away. These shops do not replace your waste ink pads anymore. Okay, they don't want to do that job. Um, and if they do, it's like $200. You might as well buy a new printer at that point. And so, yeah, by not using OEM one at a time and creating, in this case, you have 8 channels. That's 8 purge cycles that you could have within a period of 2 months. As each, you know, level comes down to that danger point, it becomes empty. You replace that one. You put a new one in. You close the lid. It runs a purge cycle. Guess what happened to the one that was low? Now it's empty. See what I mean? So you replace that one and domino effect. I gave it that name. That belongs to me. That claim belongs to me. I'm going to copyright that. Domino effect. Refill. Get inks from Precision Colors or whoever you trust, and cartridges from Rick Johnson already prepped for you. Holders from Rudy Hallamum. Remember that link I gave you? Everything's available there. Okay. And have a reset, a set of cartridges, reset already, the chips to full, and filled with your favorite ink. And put them on a shelf. As soon as one of those colors goes almost low, not low, low means you run out of ink on the liquid chamber. You ran out of ink right here, this side. This is where the liquid ink goes. The sponge absorbs a certain amount of that ink and and then delivers it to the printhead through here. As long as this is still has some ink, Guess what's getting into the sponge? Only ink, no air. So the sponge is still in perfect condition, no air in it. You don't want air in your sponge if you're going to be refilling. You want ink in your sponge. You want ink filling every little nook and cranny between each one of those little fibers. Okay, if you wait till this is low, that means it's empty already. That's how low it's triggered. This is empty. There's a little prism there that triggers that condition. Too late. You've already began to absorb air. So before low, hammer, 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 hammer. Before low, remove all 8. Put the clips that you get from Rick Johnson on it. Put it on a Rudy Hallam holder, one by one. All of them. Remove all 8, regardless of what the conditions are. Now you have that second set that's reset and refilled. Put it back in. Guess what all the levels are going to be at? Full again. It's like starting all over again. Every time you change that complete set, you're starting all over again. How often does that happen? How often do you have to do this? I don't know. 2 months? 3 months? Yeah. And how many clean cycles or purge cycles did you run? One, as opposed to 8 of them. That's 8 times less ink being deposited in the waste ink pads. That means that waste ink pads will last 8 times longer. That's how I got away with 14 years of use before the printhead finally died. Can you believe that? 14 years out of a thermal printer, a thermal printhead printer. I think I broke a record probably. I think I did. I'm not kidding. So that's how you get away with that. Refill. Of course, don't use crappy inks from China, no offense, but those are the worst inks ever. Use good proven inks made here in the USA. Okay, and precision colors. Again, there's a link on my description. That little link that I gave you guys earlier. Buy those inks. They're the best. They're the best in the market. And refill all 8. Reset them, refill them, put them on a holder, and then the other 8 are sitting inside your printer. Print, 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 print. And then when one of them goes low, replace it with a complete set. I'm running OEM at this point. The minute one of those cartridges goes low, I am removing everything. And then I'm going to go ahead and modify those cartridges. I'm not going to flush them. There's really no need any longer to flush them. The PCSE inks are a little bit better as far as color output than the original, whatever that was called by Canon, Pro 100 inks. So I'm just going to I'm going to just top off to the proper level those cartridges. Yellow and yellow no longer cause a jello, so that's not an issue any longer. So I'm not really concerned with starting all over, starting with a flushed set of cartridges and of course PCSE. No, I'm going to do a blending. It's fine. After a couple of refills, I'll be using nothing but PC in that new set of OEM anyway. So there's really not that big an issue anymore. I still recommend you get the sets from Rick Johnson though, if you don't want to go through your own modification of those OEM cartridges. You can just exchange one at a time if you want to for that one time. But once you get all 8 in there, then I recommend you switch all 8 at once before one of them gets even low. Just look at your chart on your little display. I showed you that earlier. And when one of them is almost low, you still see a little bar of color, all 8 gets changed. That's it. Boom. Everything's back up to the top. And you run one lousy little purge cycle instead of 8. And remember, with the domino effect, you can change one cartridge, and a couple of days later, you got to change another one. And then a few days later, you got to change another one, and so on. It just becomes a routine. Every time you do that, one purge cycle is wasted. I mean, if that doesn't make sense, I don't know what does. Okay. Let's continue on. But there again, it's almost like you say, like, that makes no sense, Jose, to refill. Nobody recommends you should be refilling. Well, I do. I do. And yeah, I've proven it. I have proven the reason why. I don't know many people who have or still have, say, even how many of you have a Pro 100 at least 8 years old? I'll wait. You tell me. You tell me. See if you are able to testify. Let's say that you have a Pro 100 that has lasted, and you've been refilling it, or not, just using OEM. After I'm telling you, after a few years, boom, done. It's a done deal. The internal pads get full of ink, saturation point, and you'll get that display. I hate that display. Some parts of your printer have reached the end of their life. What does that mean? Well, it's dead, basically. Okay, Photo Zen 8398. Sorry, off subject. How many know that Nikon made a global shutter in its D70, D7? Yeah, I have a D70 way back then that can accommodate flash at shutter speeds of 1/800th of a second without clipping. I did not know that. I have a D70. In fact, Nathan is using it. This weekend is the school play, and it will be at the high school that he'll be attending this fall. So this weekend is going to be a big weekend for us. School play, Chinese dinner, and then my son and I are going to watch WrestleMania Saturday night and Sunday night. Yeah, we are wrestling fans. Oh yeah, my Pro 1000, the same thing. I got mine when it first came out, no problem. But that just has a. Speaking of wasting, you have an MC20 cartridge you would just replace. But the printhead, yeah, and I got two printheads, two extra printheads for it, just in case. No problem, my friend. Absolutely. I reset the chips before they are. Yeah, there you go. See, you don't have to do anything. Just refill them, put the plug on them. If you buy two sets, sell your OEM one empty, put it up on eBay. You'll get a few bucks per cartridge. You don't have to really do much. Just refill your cartridge, and then after that, you're gonna need to buy a resetter, of course. Printer Potty, yes, that's by Ink. Who was it in England, right? The guy in England. I think his name is Steve. I don't remember. I don't recall. But yeah, that was a good setup. I have one of those. He actually used laboratory plasticware, like a flask, a culture flask. We use those by the dozens at work, and it works beautifully. The fittings are fantastic. You collect the ink externally into the printer potty, as they call it, flask bottle, and then you just continue resetting the internal pads as the printer says. But that only works with Epson. We're talking about Canon. Canon does not allow you to do that. Okay. Inkchip.net, that's what Inkchip.net is for. You use the WIC tool. You pay $9.99 plus my discount if you use my link, and then you reset the pads. Any old Epson with internal pads works that way. Let's see. What is a Epson P300? I thought it was a P. I know the P400, but I'm not familiar with the P300. Yeah, that's the Canon P300 or Pro 300 will die. And again, it happens because you are exchanging one cartridge at a time. And that's 10 of them. That means 10 times quicker. Yeah. Okay. Let's print some charts or scan. So this is that Riverstone satin rag. Here's the back. It's also coated, by the way. You see that? But I don't know whether you can tell. There's some very, very difficult to see. Okay, there it is. See that vertical line? That's a roller mark. Now, I could print on this. You may not even see it afterwards. But I think that's why they discontinued, because that badge just came up with those marks. Maybe the coating, the main coating, which is this one here, absolutely flawless. And they may not have waited long enough, or something happened. The rollers caused those marks to appear because they coated those. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what caused that, but I could print on it. It's fine. So I have 8.5 by 11. I would print on one side, borderless, of course, and then wait a day or two and print on the other side. Why would I do that? Well, because I wanted to. That's the only reason. All right, so here's the chart. I'm going to pop it in, but first, before we do that, I'm going to walk you through the process of printing a chart. And we'll print it on the Pro 100. So I'm going to locate this here. I did the nozzle check. Perfect. Nice and even. And by the way, one thing you guys need to really be aware of, and this will be more clearly seen in, and I think I talked to Michael Lee a couple weeks ago, and he told me about the Pro 200 ink set that he made. And he said there's not an issue per se, but magenta, there's no way they can match it to the OEM chromatic conditions, okay, of their magenta ink. And the way that you can tell, in fact, hang on. Yeah, you can clearly see it. Many people don't know what those little vertical black bars are, what they're for. Okay, notice they're all the same neutrality. They may not all be the same density, but they are all neutral. This is Pro 100. This is OEM. Okay. This is Pro 200. Different type of set of bars. They're using a crisscross type thing like the Pro 1000, like the fancier professional Canon printer. But I want you to look at magenta, photo magenta. Oh, it was photo magenta. Sorry, photo magenta ink. Look at that. Look at the two black bars. They have a magenta-ish tone to them. Okay. And there's no way he was able to eliminate that. So this is as good as it gets. And every other Pro 200 ink out there, third-party ink, will have the same, if not even more. How that affects your actual look of your finished prints, I don't know whether you can tell the difference between the Pro 200 OEM print and the Pro 200 third party, especially Precision Colors SC print. As with a good profile, I don't think there'll be any way to determine one from the other, to differentiate one from the other. So let me go ahead and take a look at a couple of these. Yeah, okay, 600. Okay, yeah, the 600 was the replacement for the R3000. The P400 was the replacement for the R2000. Okay, HC says, I'm still contemplating buying a P900 for 17-inch prints. How are the experiences with that printer? If a 17 8550 came out, I choose that in a heartbeat. So would I. Um, it's pigment, 10 channels, 10 channel print head, no more stupid black ink switch valve, which, although they did improve it tremendously for the P800, and I haven't had any issues switching back and forth. All my other earlier Epson printers that had it have failed. They're bound to go to the dump. So, but the P900, excellent, absolutely, no issues whatsoever. And you got a roll adapter you can get. It's actually expensive, but it's really a good one. The only catch, and I proved this by having a one of you guys send me actual prints from a special image that I sent that person. That image had some it was a bunch of candles, a nice, beautiful layout of candles, likely in a church somewhere. And the highlights, some of the highlights were absolutely white, 255, 255, 255, meaning they were just paper with no ink on them. And you could see gloss differential. Okay, and I specifically used a glossy paper. I told him to use a glossy paper. And that is because the printer does not have a gloss optimizer, or in the case of Canon, chroma optimizer, which applies a layer of gloss over it, and it removes that difference between glossiness. Some colors, this is true. Some colors differ in their gloss index. Magenta is known to be less glossy than yellow, cyan, and the blacks and the grays. So it depends. So if it was like the R2000 or the P400, they had a gloss optimizer, and your glossy prints, your semi-gloss prints, your luster prints were even. Okay, beautiful gloss on them. Okay, very evenly distributed. No, you look at it and you're not looking. Oh, that looks matte. Oh, that looks a little bit glossier than the rest. A red rose would look slightly matte compared to the green leaves around it. Those were big glossy. That's called gloss differential. That is why Canon has Chroma Optimizer, and those earlier Epson printers have a gloss enhancer. Other than that, wonderful printer. Does it have the ability to print blues? Of course it does. It has blue ink, okay, or violet. They call it violet ink. And how about reds? Well, maybe not as good as the Pro 1000, the 1100, which has a red ink. Okay. Anytime you have a red ink, you can handle that region. The 8500 does not have a red ink. It fails slightly at one certain point. If you go from yellow, turning orange, turning magenta, more magenta, in other words, ready, ready, red, 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 it fails. One area of that red transition just cannot be printed because you just cannot do it simply by mixing magenta and yellow. You need red ink. So that's where it falls on its face. But again, it's something that you have to really scrutinize. Okay, it takes a lot of viewing under the proper lighting and all of that before you can even tell. And it only happens with certain images that happen to have that particular shade of red. Okay. Right. Besides, you can't anyway. It just won't let you unless you live in Europe. Jerry Uncle's here. My Pro 100 is 7.5 years in service, still chugging along. Same for my modified CLI 42. One set self-modified, one set from Rick Johnson. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Switch them all at once. It'll last longer than that. Like I said, your printhead will die first. Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and open up Q image. We got half an hour. I gotta really quit at no. We got longer than that. A good hour here. So let's just I think I have to stop by 2:30 so I can get everything ready upstairs. All right, so I was doing something. We're doing a project, my wife and I, a little miniature room. It's a sewing room with the in remembrance of her sister. So miniature, and we were making some little miniature poster. You see a little newspaper right here. I actually made a newspaper. I rolled it up. It was awesome. Okay, and I was able to right here. I was able to fold it. I tied a little piece of string around it, and it looks real. It looks like the real deal. Okay, so let me find print prism, and here's the chart. We're going to print it on the Pro 100. So we're going to pick our printer. Always just go in this order here. The printer first, Pro 100. This paper is like a semi-gloss. So we'll just pick a semi-gloss somewhere here. Right here. It'll be 8.5 by 11. Okay, 8.5 by 11. And then we're going to go ahead and choose original size, and then load it. Boom. That way it will be printed at the correct size, the correct dimensions that the software expects it to see. You don't absolutely have to, but this is the best way. Just choose original size. Mike Cheney has already gone through the trouble of, customizing that image. The most important part, see right here, printer profile. We're not going to use a printer profile. We're going to turn it off. Turn it to full off. Now, at the same time, the driver has to be off as well. So let's take a look at that. So here's the Pro 100. I'm going to click here. No color intensity manual adjustment. Matching. None. Okay. We are set. And print. It's going to take a little bit of time to load, and it should begin printing. I hear it waking up. Take a closer look at this. Again, the printer, the paper type, the size, and off. That's all you have to do. And that's it. Just make sure you follow that set of settings, in other words. The most important one is off. Okay. That means the driver also will be turned off. In other words, this set of color patches, tiny little patches, will be printed in pure raw form. Okay, that's how you have to do it. Now I'm going to do something because I got to go upstairs and check something. I'm going to see if I can play the video that I just recently did. If I cannot do it, then I'm going to go up there for a couple of minutes and come right back. But that should have that um, last uh, image printed. So this is the one I tried before, but I don't know whether you were able to hear the. Can you hear that? Can, tell me if you can hear that ad playing, because now my videos are playing ads. Can you hear the ads in the background? Can you hear the audio at all? I'll wait for you guys to reply. If you cannot hear the audio, then I'm not going to do it. But I still got to go upstairs. Get something set up for our lunch. Please answer me. You hear the ad playing? Were you guys able to hear that? It was coming through muffled. Let me start. Let me start myself. Let this play. Tell me if I sound horrible or okay, garbled. Okay, listen up. How did that sound? If not, I'll just play the video itself. This is covering 141, which I just want you guys to watch this first. That'll give me a few minutes. I got to prep something upstairs. Silent. Okay, so no audio. That answers that. That takes care of that. So what I will do is I am going to open up the actual video. Otherwise, I'll have to leave you guys for like 5 minutes. I just realized I had to get something done upstairs. Give me 1 second here. What I do is as I upload a new pair of videos from my backups, then once that is uploaded, I switch it over to a folder that simply just says that I just basically uploaded that. So let me make sure that this is. One 41. Let me see if I can look for it that way. Hmm. Yeah, I don't understand why I cannot play an actual video from YouTube, and yet I can play, you know, something off of my hard drive. That is really weird. Nah. All right. Well, you'll have to bear with me 5 minutes here. Go get a cup of coffee or something. Um, yeah, exactly. Let me show you the print. And I'm going to have to print it again. Look what happens. This paper slipped. Okay. So I don't know how I can prevent that from happening. Let me just try again. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my tray and I am going to put something underneath. This is a trick that you can do. Most trays are actually lower than where the paper comes out. So I'm going to put a little bit of support here. Maybe this box. And I'll put this right here where the paper emerges. And I will catch it. I will have a little box supporting the paper. That way it's not going to drop at the last inch or so and cause that. That's a very slippery paper. It's coated on both sides, remember. So it's the rollers don't really grab it that, you know, well as a regular paper whose back is just not treated in any way. So as soon as that begins to come out, I'll be able to put it on top. And what I want to do is show you guys exactly the process. So this is the one that creates the chart that you will then scan. And it doesn't matter what printer you're using. You can create a chart from any printer, my Pro 1, my Pro 1000, my 200, even my sublimation printer. And then I use the 8550 scanner to scan it. So you need a printer that will have a built-in scanner. Preferably the 8550 is a wonderful printer. See, this paper is super, it's rag. It's like art. It's like art paper that's been coated. Yeah. Yeah, exit trays have that problem. It's been an issue with some of them because the surface of the tray is like an inch and a half below where the paper comes out. So the paper then tilts forward and it can slip. Here it comes. There you go. All right, I'll be right back. Look at that. That solved that problem. You see that? Perfect. Got me a little donut hole while I was upstairs. All right, so that's going to be allowed to dry. Mm. But I have to mark the back because I have another one that is absolutely identical almost. Where's my marker? Here it is. Except done on the 8550. So this is called, keep forgetting the name, Riverstone Satin Rag. And I really do hate to write on the printable surface in the back, but oh well. And this will be the Pro 100, and it'll be print prism. Okay. Now, before we can do anything with this, it has to dry, and then you have to trim. The designer, Mike Chaney, has purposely added a black stroke, a pretty wide black stroke. If you look carefully, this is a bit critical. If you look carefully here, I'll get as close as I can. You see on the outer edges of that stroke, like little dash marks? That's actually printed in like a yellow color. You have to trim beyond that, okay, inside the stroke. So you got a good, more than an eighth of an inch. It's like 3/16 of an inch wide. So just make sure you just trim it inside that black stroke, okay? And I'll do that now. Well, let me make sure it is not wet. Remember, this paper had that issue with the density levels. Thank God for my roto trimmer. It's got to be like 45 years old and still works beautifully. So this is ready. I'm going to let it sit here. I already have one loaded. That is the one for the Pro, no, 8550. So let's open up the new version of Print Prism. Let me close down Q image at this point. Print Prism. And when I looked at it, I didn't really see anything new until I looked carefully. Okay. There is a couple of little things. Now you could go, when you receive, actually no, just go directly to Print Prism. And I have the link right here. It's also included in that app that I provided you. But this gives you all of the basic information, okay? When you buy it, and then from that point onward, you're going to be receiving the updates. You'll be receiving an email, whatever email you give to them initially when you purchase it. And it will explain what the updates include. In other words, whether it's a bug fix, whether it is just an additional feature, whether it's an increase in accuracy, whatever that may be, it'll explain that there. All right. So with this one, and I want to make sure that I share that with you. I'm just going to read it. I don't want to post it. Mike told me not to post it because the passwords are in there as well. Okay, this one does not say anything. It just says that it's a new version. Okay, so let's take a look at the actual software. Here it is. Okay, so nothing really different. You choose your printer. Here's all my printers. So I choose my 8550. And then here's the list of supported printer types. In other words, printers that have a built-in scanner. And the critical thing, I think, has to do with the light source of the scanner, whether it's incandescent, which drifts as the scanner gets older, it drifts. You would have to constantly recalibrate it. These new scanners have LED light sources, which stay pretty much constant. So they only, when he does the spectral profile, if you want to call it that, of each particular scanner, and he incorporates that into the software. So the software knows what this scanner can do. Okay. And so it will take that into account when it tries to correct. And we'll get into that in a second. So you choose your scanner here. And here is the Epson EcoTank 85XX or L. Remember the L predecessors to the EcoTank? Basically, they were tank printers that were sold only in the Asia part of the world. We did not have them in the US at that point, just yet. They were testing them out, if you will, in that part of the world. So that's it. Just pick the 8550 XX or whatever. If you have a Canon G series, then you pick that one. G300 something, G600 something, you pick that. If you have a standalone LIDE Canon scanner, you pick that. Here's another series of EcoTank printers. Here's the V39-2 Epson scanner, and so on. So we'll leave this alone because we're using the 8550. If you have a 8550 already, you have it made. Okay, you are set. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and continue. So step 2, import a scanned target. If you already scanned one, there's no need to rescan it again. Okay, but we haven't done that. So I'm going to go ahead and I put one in. You saw me do it. I'm going to preview it just for the heck of it. You don't have to do that. My little light is flashing. Once it is done doing the preview, it will show up. All that tells me is that I loaded it semi-straight, okay? Not crooked or something. Okay, and it's a little crooked, but still, it's okay. I could fix it. The upper left is a little bit down. I'll redo it again just because I'm picky that way. No other reason, just because I'm picky. Now, if I was doing this, as I have said in the past, with a spectrophotometer such as this bad boy right here, or if you have a Color Monkey or an i1 Studio, you would have to print and say, okay, now it's nice and straight. You would have to print the set of patches that software generates. Same thing, let it dry. You don't have to trim it, but you need to have a device, a jig that allows the spectra glide across and scan each row accurately. In other words, without shifting or jumping from one row to the other. That would not work at all. So that takes manual use of that scanner, the scanner being the Spectra, row by row. Each row will take you 5 seconds, depending how fast you go. You should go slow. So I would say 5 to 10 seconds per row. And you have a multitude of rows. So maybe 1,600 patches total. That would be in a 2 sheet print. So you'll be using 2 sheets of paper. Or if you use the 1,600 patch or even higher, you will use more and more sheets of paper. So a high patch number, 3,600 or whatever, or 3,300, that would be like 4 or 5 sheets of paper. That's expensive paper you're scanning, my friend. Why not just do one? This image contains 9,000 patches. Imagine that. I don't know how the heck he did that. So let's go ahead and continue. I'm going to close it. I'm done. Scan. Before we had to choose scanning, photo mode, 300 ppi, and no color management. When you scan your normal, say you're restoring someone else's paper print from an album, you're not going to have color management turned off. In the case of this, you have to have color management turned off, just like when we print that chart. So that is now automatically set. You no longer have to worry. Oh, by the way, notice pass number 2, and it's cooling down. And here's the adjustment right here. I have 5 passes, and I'm cooling down 20 seconds per pass. I could choose 60 seconds. I can choose 10. I can choose 20, 30. What does this do? It allows your scanner, whatever type of scanner you were using, to cool down, okay, between passes. I was having an issue where the next scan was occurring too quickly, and my scanner hadn't even returned back to the original starting position. So we incorporated all of this. So now I'm doing a quintuple scan stacked on top of each other. That's about as accurate as you can possibly get. There's no more improvement that can possibly be achieved as far as accuracy goes. So I got my coffee. So, and just let that happen instead of me scanning. Press the button, bleep, bleep, next row, and I have to move it myself. Bleep, bleep. I do it forward and back, and it returns scan. Yeah, that takes 10 times more time than this. Fourth pass. Remember, we were doing 3 scans before? If I am offered 5 scans, I'm going to choose 5 scans, period. Okay. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? Right? If that promises me the last drop of quality possible, I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm going to use that. So that's why I do that. So it's cooling down. And it's going to do the last pass. And that'll be it. Three, two, one. Scanning the 5th pass. See the little light flashing? Once that is done, it's going to present me with the scan results. Okay, it says you have successfully stacked 5 scan passes. Please, next, please save the stack scan. Okay. So now we're going to give it a name. So, my memory sucks, so I'm going to have to look at that again. Riverstone Satin Rag. And before that, I'm going to add EcoTank 8550. ET phone home 8550. All right, so EcoTank 8550 River Stone Satin Rag. Now I want to make sure that I don't have any other River Stone Satin rag anywhere here. I do have it. So I'm going to go ahead and override that one. I must have done this one before this new version came out. So we're going to save it. It's going to tell me override it. Yes. Now it's going to ask me to put it in your output folder for your profiles. And you just say yes. Okay, so here it is. There it is. I'm going to click here. Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry. Detect the corners first. And it's, oh, wow. That's perfect right off the bat. Let's go ahead and cycle through all the corners. Remember, I was doing it by hand before. No longer necessary. You see every selector, every little selector, that little white square is pretty much centered or within the perimeter of each one of those little patches. That means that I'm going to be able to determine what the errors that my 8550 printing raw introduced. Okay. Now we just create the profile. Since there's a profile already there, it's going to override it. Okay. And then once we're done creating the profile, I'm going to go back to my color folder in Windows. It is saved in a folder called color, Windows system 32 slash something, and then slash, and then colors. So once that is done, I'll go ahead and take a look. I'll pop the folder with the results over to this monitor here, the one you're looking at right now, and we'll make sure that that is the one we just created now. And then we'll go ahead and print something. I'm going to load a piece of paper. If I had any doubts, I would go ahead and print a standard image, but I only have so much of that paper left. I really trust that the results are going to be spot on. So we'll print something. We'll print one of these new images that I received. We'll use QImage, of course, to do that. Now, I really haven't timed the length of time it takes to produce the profile with the proprietary software for, say, my i1 Pro 2 from X-Ray. I think it's approximately the same. But you got to realize what's actually taking place here. Each one of those 9,000 plus or minus patches was printed. Did it match? Does that paper print, little patches, does it match the original colors that Mike Cheney gave to each one of those patches? Obviously not. So it's creating corrections, necessary corrections, this way or that way. Yeah, 9,000 of them. And that is what is incorporated in the profile. It's done. We are done here. Let's go ahead and look at my color folder, and it should be there. Hang on, let me go back to the share screen. And we should look at the dates. And there it is, EcoTank 8550 River Stone Satin Rag. Okay, we have it. And it's got today's date. So we know that's the one. Now we'll just open up QImage again. And we'll take a look at something we can then print. It's 2:10 right now. All right, so we'll get out of this folder, go to the desktop. It's sitting in the desktop, so, and this is it. But I wanted to print this on that, the canvas paper. So actually, they're both paintings. Why not? I'll just do that. I'll just do this one, but it's not meant for this type of format. I could conceivably rotate it. No, it will not let me do that. Oh, I know what it is. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Gotta hit fit to paper, fit to page. It's gonna do that. Now, can I flip it over if I do this? Okay. So now I have a signature. I'm not cutting off anything because I have it crop turned off. And what is this? Some kind of warrior, Richard? You have a nice vignette in the edges there. Very nice. Let me do the exposure automatic adjustment here for highlights and shadow. And I will sharpen. Do 125. That's good. I want to make sure I get your signature nice and sharp. I'm not going to adjust any color settings whatsoever. I'm going to just print them. And the next important thing is, of course, this is not the Pro 100. I got to go back to the 8550. I got to go back to, see, I should have done that earlier. Go back to semi-gloss. Go back to fit to page. And the most important thing is we got to load that profile. So we're not going to let the printer manage color. We want to use the profile we just made. So suggest profile or browse profile, either one. And then hit the little, and then date. Scroll down. There it is, River Stone Satin Rag. Relative black point comp. And print it. So basically, the only difference is instead of having the color management setting to a profile, and instead of having it set to off, I should say, when we printed the chart, now we're telling it to use the profile we just created. Automatically, the driver itself is set to off for us through QImage. QImage handles that for you. No double profiling whatsoever. Okay. And Richard just told me that the title is Medieval Warrior. Okay. Now we'll see how that comes out. And I'm going to have to keep my eye on the exit. Now see, this one here starts low, but then here it almost matches. It almost matches the level that the paper comes out. 100%. Come on, go ding dong. There you go. And now it should start. And sometimes you just gotta, with this paper, you gotta give it a little bit of help. Remember that double coating is not the best for rollers. it drew the other sheet. Of, I had a sheet of plain paper behind it, and it drew it with it. It kind of attached itself to the back. The coated back of the paper. Oh well. All right, I'm going to set up the other one, and I'm going to do that on the Pro 100. Now this is more rectangular, so we're just going to say to add a border. I want it to have a bit of a border like so, but I don't want it cropped. So let me just go ahead and remove everything and start from fresh. So got a 1/2 inch border, no cropping. So when I load that, boom, it loads it perfectly. In this case, I want a stroke. And I always tend to use 3. And the color will be black. So what we'll have to do is scan the one that I just printed. Yeah, it's not going to be as accurate as one that you dry overnight. It is. I would love to see you doing that, Richard, doing these in person, not online. I know you have your secrets, but that would be really awesome to watch. All right, let's go ahead and adjust this. Again, all we'll do is this, and then we'll add some sharpening, the same amount I did earlier. The only changes are going to be the profile we just are going to create next. And that'll be the profile that we, from the chart we just printed on the Pro 100. Okay, we'll leave that open for now. Looks fantastic. So that would be so good on that metallic paper. Wow, that would be amazing on that metallic paper. What time we got? Okay. Let me preload the sheet. Oh man, I'm running out of this. Jeez. This is why I gotta be really frugal with, whatever money I generate here, because I'm running out of that stuff, and I think that was expensive. I don't know whether they still have it. I heard that they got rid of it because of that issue. And yeah, color is accurate. Really, it does. I love the vignette that you created. That's really wild, man. Mm, really something. I like the texture. It's got like a texture that you applied. You can't see it with my camera, but it's there. Whew, wow. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and set up this one here. So they make sure that I got the right one. So this is Pro 100. Okay. Turn on Print Prism. Open it up, that is. Now, I'm not going to go through all the steps that I did before. I'm just going to very quickly walk through it. We're going to immediately scan. No need to do the previous scanning. I'm sorry. Hang on. There you go. So I'm scanning already. First scan. Then it's going to cool down for 20 seconds. So once you get everything set up, there's no need to do the preview unless you really want to look at it. It's actually a lot better now. It can actually capture the corners, and then from those four little coordinates, it can figure out what each patch is located. It's amazing. I have a bunch of ink press. I should go back into that. I have back years ago. Um, I found a seller on eBay. They were selling, I think it was like sample packs for $5 each. So I put together like $200 and bought obviously 40 packs. And then I separated all of them and put them in stacks in their own little envelopes. So I'm going to go back and experiment with some of those old ones. I don't know whether I have ink press metallic, but I will certainly look. That is the brand, ink press. Yeah, it wasn't a very well-known paper, but really good, really good. That'll be something for next week, I think. We will. I'll dig up my whole stack of those packs. I got like that much paper, so we'll give it a try. So we're at scan number 4 and scan number 5. Cooling down for scan number 5. All right, here we go. Okay, done. Notice, remember back in the days when I started doing this and we were getting errors, and that doesn't seem to happen anymore. All right, so now this is going to be, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take, you see that? These are the ones that I have already created. I'm going to just take this one and just change it to Pro 100. That's it. And then save it. And boom, that's it. Let's go ahead and locate the corners. Oh, I forget I got a tab over here. I got to close. It says copy the scan name to the profile description and profile file name, blah, 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 Pro 100 Riverstone. Yes, of course. So now it's going to know what to name the profile that's going to be generated. It knows how to do that. So let's go detect the corners. I don't know why I always bring it in. There it is. Boom. I remember when there was errors locating the corners and I would have to do it manually. And we're going to rotate through the whole shebang here and everything is centered. Oh my gosh. So this is kind of becoming And I like to always refer to me dummy proof. That's it. We're creating the profile. I'm going to close this because I think the new profile will not show up unless I reopen it. I might be wrong. I just want to make sure. Just reopen, go back to, we're only about a third done. I'm going to do the same trick I did earlier. I'm going to have a little extra support underneath my exiting piece of paper on the Pro 100. Now, I would love to test Pro 200 OEM because the theory is that the Pro 200 came out simply because they realized that there was some issues with the Pro 100 original inks. The reproduction of certain reds, reproduction of certain blues, anything containing cyan was not quite optimal. And that was the goal by Mike Lee of the previous Precision Colors, was to basically take care of those issues. He saw them. And so when I did the comparison between OEM and Precision Color Signature Edition, he immediately saw, even on the video, he immediately saw that he did solve that. So the Precision Colors SC inks were producing fantastic reds, beautiful blues, and you know, purples and that sort of range, where the original inks could not. Okay, and lo and behold, what comes out next? Well, you all know, the Pro 200. Okay, so let's take a look at what we need to do here. Again, no more 8550. Now we're going to print with the Pro 100. And we're going to print with semi-gloss, 8.5 by 11, and not using off. Of course, we're going to be using a profile we just made. So you can just browse printer profiles and then take a look inside, click on the date. And if you do things in that kind of order, here it is, Pro 100 Riverstone Satin Rag. So we'll double click, relative, black point comp, and print. And once it begins to print, I'll go ahead and put my box just to help that paper stay flat as it comes out. That way, the weight of it alone caused it to shift, believe it or not. The weight of that last, the first, say, 7 inches of it as it stuck out, it went down a little bit. It caused a shift. Yeah, um, that happens. And it happens with certain papers only. Specifically this one because it's double coated. That's all I can figure out because other papers don't have that issue. Okay. I'll leave this open so we can maybe compare it. The light is flashing and it's feeding. By the way, when I ran the nozzle check, I think I did it all last night. All the printers had nozzle checks run. Um, Pro 100 had been off for a whole week. Not off, but not used. It did a couple of little things here and there. I did not hear any kind of pumping action, which is draining the perch pad. I did not hear any of that, so it began printing straight away. So that's good. Wonderful printers. No wonder they were so popular. And they did something astronomically different. They were giving away with a DSLR. You bought a camera, you get a printer, and people, they weren't used to printing back then, so they didn't want the printers. They were selling them for $100 locally off the back, the trunk of your car. So I got me three of them that way. Okay. That box is the perfect height. The paper is absolutely flat on it. I don't understand who designs these exit trays. You need to have support, especially, oh, what about printing in borderless? That would immediately cause an issue because the last edge of that paper is being printed on. How the heck is it? Are you going to support it? You see what I mean? That's one of the issues with borderless printing. You're printing beyond the edges, but the last quarter inch of that paper is not being supported, especially it's hanging down, creating a pivot type, condition. No good. Perfect. Look at how stiff that paper is. It's really good. I gotta find that paper again. I gotta buy some more of that. That's pretty good. Beautiful. Let's look at both of these. So supposedly this is where the Pro 100 with OEM was not performing very well. These colors right here. Although this is more magenta-ish, this is a lot more magenta. This is more getting in the red zone. But what would happen if it would abruptly go from a slightly orange red, all of a sudden go to a slightly magenta red, and that really, wasn't able to duplicate a true red. But that's what the 200 was able to accomplish. Except that's what PCSC accomplished long before. Ain't that something? So, do I dare? Oh my gosh. Do I dare print something on the other side? What else do we have here to print? You can see. Actually, my camera is not doing a really good job. This absolutely matches that. As I'm looking at it visually, yeah, every detail, every brushstroke, the impasto, meaning the heavy, is done with a palette knife. That looks perfect. The camera does not. Nah, nah, that is not perfect. That's a little bit redder. This is not quite red. This is a magenta red. Anyway, whatever. So let's do that. Let's be brave. Oh no, I'll do the other one because the other one sat around for a while and it's pretty dry by now. So let's do the bear. And I'll use the 8550 for that. So now I'm gonna do, yeah, what they said not to do because they knew the paper had issues with that dual coating, but we'll try it. So it should remember exactly what my settings were. Yeah, it did perfectly. So all we have to do now is remove this, and I am going to load this without cropping, like so. I'll bring it in. No, I'm going to add a little border. I want the edges to be more inside. There we go. And I have a bit of a stroke. And I don't think I ever did any little adjustments here. So we'll go ahead, and I'm not increasing saturation or adjusting color in any way. I'm just creating a white point and a black point, and then I'm sharpening. Output sharpening should always be done. What I'm going to be looking for is the absence, hopefully, of any kind of roller marks. Remember when they created this paper? Yeah, their coating applicating machine caused roller marks on the already pre-coated side. We don't want that to happen. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna pause that. No, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna do that because I just saw. Boom! There you go. There you go. I forgot that I did not set it not to crop. I don't want to cut off any part of that image. So let's now we can print it. There we go. Now it's starting to load. Yeah, good. You have a better eye than I have. I immediately saw that after I was looking at it, and it's like, wait a minute, that's not the ratio that Richard created. So good. So let's just say that you use that paper for, and you know how to bind, and you make an 8.5 by 11 album. I used to make, no brag, but I used to make these amazing layouts for my weddings that I shot, and I would have back to back printing. Well, you have to tell us. Okay, let's see. So when we get off here, before I go back upstairs, I'm going to see if I can locate this paper again. So this one is done. There was someone. I'll put it here with the rest of the ones that I rescanned. I got a whole boatload of charts that I'm going to rescan again, simply because I just have to. It's just the way I am. Mike told me I didn't have to, but I'll do it anyway. Give me something to do. Oh, okay. So you're gonna email me a novel. That's okay. I'm ready for that. Hey, when do you want to do lunch again, man? You know who's coming? This coming month. Well, not only my nephew is coming with his wife on the 3rd, but Harold Davies and his two friends from Arizona, the ones that travel all over the world. They're coming to visit DC, and I'm going to spend some time with them. We should be able to go to Gettysburg and maybe Harper's Ferry and also the museums downtown. So it'll be a nice visit. I have a lot of stuff to give them to take home. Um, in fact, maybe I will take a stack of prints about that. No, you don't want to carry that on a plane to the hotel. and you guys can go through it and choose whatever you wish. I'm trying to get rid of all of this stuff. No, it might take too long. He's Richard is right about that. Okay, so that's printing beautifully, but I want to see what the original side looks like after it has passed through the printer twice. Yeah, that's looking really good. This is the back. I gotta make sure I got this the right way. I don't see any kind of marks. Wow. If this is not another tribute to the 8550, I don't know what is. And Bear. Look at that. Beautiful. Indeed. That needs to go in a frame. I mean, come on. Again, I would choose another paper, one that does not have double size. I'll reprint this, and I'm going to put that on a little frame. That'll be for my wall back here. Yep, neat. Hmm. I wish I could find the same surface, but only single surface, not dual coated. I'll have to search and try to locate that stuff. Okay, so it is. It's almost time. I wanted to talk about a couple other things, but I'm gonna save that for next week, if you guys don't mind. So the next, what do we have? The next 13 minutes, what or more? I think slightly more than 13 minutes. Is there anything you guys want to talk about? Anything you guys would like me to possibly get into in the next few live streams? This is your chance. We got 30 people still here, so um, what is it that you're wondering about? You would like to cover? Um, Let me know right now if you're able. Now I'm going to go ahead and look for ink press paper. No, not ink press. This River Stone satin rag. But please, let me know right now. You want something demonstrated? You would like whatever. Um, there's a video. Bethesda. Oh, breathing. Oh, it's breathing color. That's who makes it. Okay. Huh. Wow. Okay. But they're in Canada, no? Yeah. That could get expensive. That's the reason that Mike Lee sold out to the U.S. Let's talk HDR. I need you to do that. I swear to God, I need you to come on and I need you to walk us through the actual process. Okay. Okay, I will do that. You already guessed. Okay, you already guessed. So two printers. What would you choose? In fact, one. And it depends on you and what is your goal. I'm doing this without speaking. No need to speak. Metallic. If you need bigger, Pro 1000 or the 1100. That's it. If you want both, fine. You can afford both, then get both. But for 13-inch, no bigger than 13-inch, that's it. Oh, but the P900, the this and that, no. This has a little bit of an issue with some reds, but I swear to you, you will not find it when you print it, unless you are a color engineer and you know exactly what to look for. Seriously. And what else do you want? You've seen me do just about everything with the 8550. So even if the inks were $40 per bottle, but they're not. They're like $18 per bottle, 70 ml each, plus the black. And I'm using PC black pigment ink for my black pigment um, channel. Okay, I'm using the pigment inks that were for the P800 that Michael Lee produced for that initial release of the P800, and I get gorgeous matte results with it. Okay, if you need 17-inch by, make a nice big 17 by 27 or whatever the heck, or 30 something even, then yeah, get the Pro 1000 or the 1100, whatever you can find cheaper, and it's brand new. Yeah, get that. Otherwise, get the 8550. Why not? It is a performer. It was not thought to be a great performer. Originally, it was meant for, yeah, general photography. Yes, that's good enough. No, I am profiling. I am scanning. I am doing this. I'm doing that. Yeah. Hang on. I saw something here from Fredberg. I get confused. Gave you, what gave you red? And what do you mean? What gave you red? I don't understand. Fred, tell us what you mean, bro. And then you have to come on, period. You have to come on as a guest, walk us through. I know you sent me a little PDF or whatever that was, and I'm too damn lazy to go through it. I have Ever since a child, I have an issue with reading. I just don't want to read. I don't read like my wife reads, like constantly reading. My daughter constantly reading. Nathan and I, we hate reading. So I need things to be shown to me, demonstrated. So I need you to come on. Quite a few people will come on here and walk us through the process. I know you have the same camera that I have. I'll have my camera here and you walk us through the process. That'll be a big one. That'll be a big one. I think people will love to see that being demonstrated. And then you show me what do you do in, say, Photoshop to finish your results. Okay, how do you integrate? And then what adjustments do you perform once you blend all of those exposures together? Okay, so the answer is the 8550, obvious, right? Now imagine this, if there was a 17-inch version of that. That's it, just that printer, period. What else would I need? You saw what I can do, and it's not just because I'm so good. I can squeeze all the qualities that no one else can out of the 80. No, baloney. The 8550 is a performer. My friend Mike Lee didn't think much of it, and I completely disagree with him. And I proved them. I proved them when he came here. I proved it to him. Okay, so yeah, there you go. And I think for sublimation it will be awesome as well. And right now I cannot do anything larger than 8 by 12 because I cannot print anything larger than that on my little, XP 4200. It's a 8.5 by 11. So I need maybe another 8550 to be able to convert to sublimation with, they have an inkset for it. They have an inkset for it. And Rick Johnson, thank you, brother. Rick Johnson bought me that printer. Okay. Not because he was bribing me. No, he was grateful. And I am grateful back to you, man, my friend. So if it hadn't been for you, I would have never discovered that. I would never have bought me one of those. Um, you know, this was HC. Okay. So yeah, so you have one. Richard has one. Many of you have one. Print Prism, $35. That combination is absolutely the best you can possibly get. Then you utilize that scanner built in to that printer and create profiles. You know how much it used to cost to have a profile created? About $30. That's what I used to charge until I found out that I wasn't legally supposed to be selling profiles using, uh, you know, the software from the spectrophotometer that I was using, the brand X-ray. You cannot do that, so I quit. I stopped doing that. I didn't want to break the law and get sued. So, but yeah, 25, $30 per profile. So you're paying $35 for the software that allows you to create profiles. And if you already have an 8550, 8500, you use that scanner or any of the other many scanners that are supported now. Where do I get the color red? I still don't know what you mean. You mean ink red, color red? What do you mean? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just dense. I know I am. I recommend three printers, 1100, 15, oh, 15,000. For your office, well, actually, this is pretty good as well. It has a cassette underneath, and it has a duplexer. But the XP 15,000 has better reds. Absolutely. Absolutely. It has red ink. So, yeah. You're the guy that has a trifecta, as I call it. Yeah. That's why my wife has the 15,000. I have the 8550 and the Pro 1000. If I had an 1100, even better. Oh, no, 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 no. No, no. Nothing to do with weight and size. We're not looking at that. We're looking at quality of output. I'm sorry to tell you. Other than the fact that the P9000, I mean, offers you a roll adapter, which to me it would be that would be it. That would be the deal right there. That would switch me over from the 1100 to the 900 if I was going to print on roll. But I'm sorry, the 1100 output is better. Okay, just weight and size sure is smaller, less weight, and yeah, it depends on your room. But we're talking about just absolute. If you had the room, yeah, those would be the best three printers to get, unless you were printing on roll. Yeah, that we can only dream. It'll be like $900. Yeah, G620 also. Pretty damn good printer. Yeah, 5 colors. The beauty about that is two little print heads, $33 each. When they go, and you don't have to spend a fortune, and they're not both going to die at the same time. So far, so good. So, and again, thank you. All righty, let me see what else. Yeah, Rich, come on. Just name the weekend, bro. I'm ready for you. Why my Epson? Oh, so it depends. It depends. Like the XP 15,000 has red ink. Yeah, call me. Call me. Text me first that you're going to call because sometimes I don't get calls. They go into voicemail for some reason. And it's not because I blocked anyone. I don't understand. I got to have some phone expert look at me and say, oh, you idiot, you have this setting set wrong. But yeah, my son can call me. My daughter can call me. But I don't know. Yeah, XP 15,000 has red ink. I believe, what other printer had red ink? One of them had orange ink, the R2000, 1900, 2000, and then the 400. They had red ink, which is really odd, but they didn't have a gray ink. So for monochrome printing, that wasn't really the best to use. Now, one question that someone had, and let me just go ahead and open up. I think the Pro 100 driver. They were pertaining to not being able to create a neutral black and white print. And I thought, you know, I didn't want to get snarky about it, but the person, just the language, the words that he used told me he wasn't really that well trained, in other words, to do color printing or black and white printing. You're still printing with color. But anyway, let me show you what I'm talking about here. So say for instance, you print your color images, and they look reasonable to you. First of all, let me. Yeah, of course, composite. The 620 has red. There you go. Thank you. So some printers do have red ink, and that's what makes the 620 so good. Okay, for such a little tiny printer, it's an all-in-one. It has again the two replaceable print heads. It has a user replaceable wasting uh, cartridge or pad or whatever it is. Um, and Rick Johnson sells those replacements as well on his eBay site. Um, what else about it? It's just a great printer. It has tanks, better than cartridges. Yeah, you can't beat it. You cannot beat it. And it's supported by Print Prism. That's a seller right there. And you're not going to have to buy an 8550 simply to have a compatible scanner. 8550 is more expensive, obviously. It's bigger though, but it's more expensive. This 620 is a lot cheaper, like half the price, at least half the price. So if you're gonna combine a printer for printing that has a scanner that is usable with Print Prism, yeah, the G620. That's you know a no, what is it, a what's the term? I keep forgetting these terms. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, and resetters for the waste tanks. Imagine that, folks. When a wasting card gets declared full, guess what? It's not full. He also sells the replacing the pads, the sponges, sells those as well. Again, go to that link that I gave you earlier, and it's available on all my video descriptions. Anything I upload, including this live stream, it'll be available in the see more or show more, and look at the video descriptions. There it will be, and click on that and directly go to Sir Mighty Moose as well. That's not his real name, but his eBay store, and purchase whatever you need from him. Alrighty, now let's go here. So I'm just going to click here, color intensity manual adjustment. Okay, look what you get. Okay, say I print something, a black and white, using an ICC profile, and I get a tint, and the tint is a little bit magenta. All I got to do is adjust to the left a little bit. That will add green, which is the opposite of magenta, and will neutralize that tint. Okay, this is for, like, if your profile is not quite perfect and you get a repeated tint on your black and white prints, just fix it here. Okay, you don't have a way to redo the profile. You don't have this and that. You have the driver. Okay, you have the driver. Just make sure that here you're printing with none. That should give you a good result. Say you want to go ahead and print. See, here is none, color adjustment, and you're getting some areas that are a little bit wet. Reduce the ink density a little bit and try again. You don't want to reduce it so much that the print becomes lighter. You just want to reduce it slightly so that that black area, which shouldn't be black to begin with, it should be above black. That's why I do that in Q image. That's the reason I click on that adjustment every time. 0.5 above black, 0.5 below white. I will never have an area that is so white that there's no ink on it. There will always be a little bit of ink on it. And my blacks will not be absolutely pure black. Okay. Adjust it. Just adjust it slightly, bit by bit. Enter the number here, minus whatever, or you can do here, one by one, like that. And print. Still a little wet. Reduce it by 2. Print again. And so on. Eventually, it will be perfect or the deepest black. And maybe if your images do not have an absolute black, maybe you won't even see that problem. But on some images do have a black. With that river stone satin on my 800, my 8550, I mean, I was getting a little bit of a wet area. That happened when I printed some little posters for my wife's project that she's working on. They were I smeared them by accident, and I had to reprint them. And so now that I made a profile, I did not see that again happening. So I think I can now relate, or you know, um, trust that the profile will prevent that heaviness in the dark areas. But yeah, you have full control, especially printing in black and white. Now you could print black and white mode right here, black and white. Oh, I closed it. Sorry about that. Let me go back. You could print in black and white mode. And for that, you just turn off color adjustment. You don't need color adjustment anymore. Just black and white mode. So we're going to click on this. And now everything's black and white. You can see that. And so now you can globally adjust. So say you print something and you pick, this is standard, landscape, grayscale, graphics, I mean. Always leave it on standard. And you're getting a little bit of a tone. You can adjust this. Notice this is a little green, a little purple, a little red, yellowish here. You can adjust that. That's for really super minor adjustments. And it will eventually give you, after certain testing, test prints, in other words, you will get a perfectly neutral print, assuming your ink set is able to produce a linearly neutral result from the darkest to the brightest. Some inksets cannot do that. The R2000 could not do that. Okay, you needed a really good profile. So what would happen is your shadows may be cool, your middle tones may be neutral, and your highlights were a little bit warm, non-linear. Okay, you want linearity. If you're gonna have a tone, have it linearly. Then you can adjust it globally to whatever you wish. That's what black and white printing mode is about. You can actually add a tone, an overall brownish tint, like sepia. You print an old, you scan a picture from 1920. Well, you don't want to print it neutral black. They used to sepia tone everything back then. So you just add a little bit of that sepia tone look. And there's an actual setting for sepia. So that's it. Yeah, it's easy to fix. Just some printers, the Pro 10, the Pro 100, a lot of people complain that when they were using it, even on Canon paper with Canon profile and printing a converted black and white from color, still has RGB channels, and you send it, you would get like a greenish looking result, a greenish looking print. Yeah, I saw that happen. I made my own profile and it got rid of that. Yeah, it's really not that difficult. You can actually do it. Um, Again, it helps if you have, in this case today, you don't even have to spend a fortune. 35 bucks for a print person. All right, I think that's going to be it. Let me go ahead and load my exit video. It'll be the one about my life. I haven't played that for a while. Some of you tend to like it. It shows my family and so on. So let me get it all queued. And this, it starts with a picture of me as a baby, like you're not going to ever see me. I often show that to my lady friends, and I said, this is the first time you're going to see me in this condition. Okay. And they crack up. They have no clue what I'm talking about. And then they realize, oh my God, Joe. Yeah. I used to be super shy. When I started doing this, I had absolute total fear. of doing this in front of camera, even though I wouldn't be talking to anyone like in a real, you know, room full of people. I began to do my miniatures, so I had to appear in front of people. People were coming to my table, and that sort of got me going. I was pathologically shy. I mean, as a teenager, I never left my room unless I had to go to school or go out with my parents. Yeah, that bad. I'm no longer that way. I don't know what happened to me, but obviously I was cured. Let's just say. All right, let me get this up at the correct volume, I hope. So again, I really appreciate you guys coming on today. We had about 33 people at one time, so that's not too bad. Um, Again, use my link. That's this link right here. It will lead you to everybody that I support, everybody that I trust. Actually, that's the better term. Um, do I still have it? Yeah, there it is. I'll post it once again. This was created by none other than Mike Cheney. So the issue that I was having in YouTube was that I could not post full links. They would be cut off. So nobody could click on them. So this one, even, it didn't have the HTTPS :// It was just J Toolman. And you had to copy and then paste it on your browser. Now you can just scan it from my video description. So make sure you look at the actual video description on everything that I upload. It's right there at the very top, right under the title. Okay. In the description itself. Okay. Make sure you do that. Pop it into your browser, and you should be able to reach any of these folks that I show you. And there are a few others that I didn't cover. Okay. Now, QMH 1, for instance, that's for Mac. QMH Regular Ultimate, that's for your Windows users. And I keep asking him, but he hasn't really replied, I should say, to me, because he doesn't want to make a commitment, because there's another person doing the Mac version of QImage. So whether they're going to do a print prism for, Mac users, that's still in the works, I believe, but don't take that to the bank. Okay. All righty. That's going to be it. Thank you again so very much. Subscribe, share, and like. Tell everybody that you know Prince to come in and visit us on Sundays. All right. So that'll be it from the next time. Happy printing, everybody. Bye bye. Let me go ahead and start our. And boom. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There we go. Make it big. There you go. Let's start from the beginning. There you go. Look at that, boy. That was one of my birthdays. That's my papa. Me playing the piano. I started playing the piano at age 7. Teenager with hair. Mr. Cool. Notice the light meter around my neck. Drummer. Thinking. Piano. Basic training. My wife to be. Oh, that's in Puerto Rico. This is in San Juan, Massachusetts. Judy, Nathan's mom. There she is right there. I just came back from Korea. Janice. No, that's Judy. Puerto Rico. There's Judy. Wisconsin. Oh, that's Janice and Judy. My sister. Whoa, Massachusetts. Jeremy. Janice, Judy, Jeremy. Hey, two soldiers. Look at that man. That's my lab. San Francisco. Oh yeah. That's my newspaper team. Drum dryer. This is after work with my girlfriend at that time. This is Janine picking up the mail for the clinic. This is me in Korea. That's me in Korea. I had a little carton outside the Quonset hut. That's my office. I want to go home. Goofy man. That's my buddy. Massachusetts. Special Forces. Central America. He's working at a MASH hospital. My mom, Judy and Janice. Judy, Janice, and Nathan and Jeremy. Janice and Jeremy. These are my two cousins, my sister's sons. This is in Belgium. Yeah. Oh, my mom's mom, grandma, mom, and baby Janice. Okay, that's normal. Yep, they're the girls. My mom and dad, bless them. They came to visit us in Maryland. Okay, what are the imp? This is in Belgium. Paris. Halloween in Massachusetts. And that's it. See you next week, folks.